Welcome to 31 Vision Podcast. If this is your first time watching us, our podcast is intended for high school athletes transitioning to college. Things to do, things not to do. So we bring on guests that are either entrepreneurs, so you can see different career choices, or we also bring people that are currently or former college athletes or pro athletes that you can learn some of the good stuff and copy it, right? Or if they made some mistakes along the way, learn how to avoid them, right? So without further ado, man, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Sean Moore. I'm a fourth year at the University of Virginia, and I'm from Miami, Florida, born and raised.
Miami, Florida, baby.
Yes, sir.
Repping in Virginia. All right, bro. So let's start from your humble beginnings. So when did you start playing organized sports?
I started playing organized sports around the age of 5. I started with baseball, actually. That was my first sport as a kid.
Same, bro.
Everything started with baseball, and it was only about baseball, to be honest, from about 5 to 7.
Okay.
And then at 7 years old, I picked up my first football when I was invited by some of my friends who played baseball, AJ, to play for Ryan football. So
Ryan, we know about Ryan.
So that's when I started playing flag football. And playing flag, honestly, was, I think, the most tremendous and most important things to my career overall, because it helped build the technique and basic skills to play football overall, and especially at skill positions. It breaks down everything you need to know, from coverages to just understanding how to get in and out of breaks and understanding timing. So I think that's a big thing.
Bro, that's a great place to start, man. Let's do things out of order. That's fine. Bro, so one thing I like asking my tackle guys that play flag football, and you just hit it right on the head, man. Like, a lot of people knock on flag football, but yeah. I agree, man. I feel like the speed of the game being so fast, and skill players, for example, like DBs, having to cover receivers without being able to jam.
Yep.
It's a different element to your game, having to cover someone with just your hips and your feet.
It is.
Versus being able to hold. And not that when people at flag don't hold, they hold all the time, but you know what I mean? Like the way the rules are set up.
It's a little bit different. It's a little less contact at the line. Like, you don't expect it. But like you said, it teaches you to drop your hips, get in and out of routes, which is the biggest things when you put pads on, because you have to understand how to understand your body weight with the pads on, because when you put pads and helmet and all that on, like, you become a good 10, 15 pounds heavier. Like,
yeah, man.
People don't understand that once you get to sweating, there's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Doesn't matter what year I was in or how old I was. Every time we had, you have like the first days of helmets, then shoulder, and then uppers or whatever. Yep. Just with the helmet on, my neck, I'm like, bro, I'm sore, bro. Sore. I'm like, oh my God. And people don't, like, if you don't play football, you don't understand that, like, playing flag, everything's beautiful and open, for those over the shoulder catches, your peripherals are there. But when you play tackle, you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot harder to get those, the visibility is tough. And then for like quarterbacks, for example, like throwing in flag, this is free, but then you got the pads on, you got to throw. Like, for example, I can throw pretty well without pads, but with pads, I feel so awkward. Like with something being here.
Your rotation kind of changes.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for tackle quarterbacks just for that reason. Like, it just feels awkward. Or even as a receiver too, like having to like reach up and like, it just feels different, man.
We have like custom pads that kind of help, like they kind of like flip upwards a little bit more.
Man, I'm a lot older than you, man. So technology of helmets and pads have come a long way since I was playing tackle. I'll tell you that, bro. Everything's bulky and big, compared to now. Everything's so light, slim, different material. Yeah, bro, it's pretty awesome. So back to Ryan Sports, which I know some of the coaches. I'm glad that it came back into the fold. I know it took a little pause, right, for a little bit,
for a couple of years, like I'd say like 2 years.
Yeah, man, and we had your teammate Nico in here too, which is awesome. So talk to me about the coaches, man. How was the culture over there at Ryan Football?
The culture is one of a kind. It's run by Rudy Fernandez. He is one of the greatest. He is one of the most instrumental mentors, I'd say, in my life. He is like my father figure. I consider him my dad. He expects that you work day in and day out, but also he creates a bond between teammates and families that are one of a kind. We're together at such a young age on a schedule that is tedious, I would say, at a young age, especially we playing flag football. We were practicing 3 or 4 days out of the week, and that's Ryan practice. Most of us also went to school together at Alexander Montessori. So, every once in a while during PE here and there, we have sneak practices. Like, we have a tournament coming up this weekend, like Friday is in free play for y'all. Like, y'all got practice. So we're out there working, it was always a business mindset kind of from a young age, which helps you really understand the real world, and it pushes you forward, especially in understanding football in the football business world as you get older and you get to college and things start to shift a little bit.
Football business worlds. That's the best phrase to describe it, man. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? So how was the transition from youth football getting to high school and college in terms of like how it becomes I knew exactly what you meant, but just for the younger folks, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so I guess when you're younger, right, it's more everything's fun. It's every time you step on a football field, of course, the option is have fun, and that's what it should be and what it's always meant to be. Football is a child's game, whether you play from 1 year old to 30 years old, 40 years old, however you are in the league. Like it's a child's game. It's meant to be a child's game. It is fun. It is enjoyable, but there are different circumstances and different, I would say, I don't know what the exact word would be, but I'd say probably like different rules and responsibilities that come with being at a bigger age in high school and in college than when you're younger. So I'd say when you're younger, you know, it's more free. It's
more pure.
It's pure. Yeah. Your mom takes you to games. Your parents take you to games.
You get little oranges at halftime.
Yeah, exactly. Things are fun. You know, moms are out there yelling, let my kids play. Like all that good stuff. Like joking. Like, you know, when you get to high school, college, it's more of a, I'd say in high school, it gets a little more serious in terms of you're with your team more. There's lifts. There's summer lifts. There's lifts in the spring. You have a spring game. Like, things that become more typical that you do in college also, and it follows that same schedule. High school really helps build that. So I think your high school stomping ground is honestly like a very big make or break for a lot of people, because the people you learn from in high school can help you tremendously.
Definitely, man. Or hurt you. Yeah. Because in my case, I had to, because I play DB and tackle, and like I was told a few things that were wrong, you know, like weaving, like leading with my butt, which was super wrong, or like T-stepping versus like facing my guy and staying square, like certain little things that you think don't matter or you're not aware of because you're trusting an adult at the high school. Like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. And like you said, like what you're doing in high school is so important for the next step, because if you're doing things wrong, like me, I had to change physical habits, and you know how hard that can be sometimes. So freshman year of college, I had to like change a little bit how I pedaled, how I weaved, and how I flipped and stuff. So you going to a good high school that showed you the right stuff, those tips are really big to help you develop. You know?
Definitely.
So with Ryan, man, so did you guys travel? You just stay locally, or like, how did that go?
So we always played locally. So we'd play in leagues. That was kind of to get us ready for national tournaments and stuff like that. We always played in leagues. We would travel to tournaments, I'd say from around 7 to 12.
You guys started early, but that's awesome.
Early. Our team has been playing together since we were all 6 years old. So
that's another level of chemistry.
Yeah, that was another thing Coach Rudy would do. So he'd build all his teams basically with at least 6 to 8 players that were all friends and had played together from around 6 to 7 years old. Some of us younger, 5. Like we all knew each other because we all went to Alexander Montessori from 5 years old. So after that, we're always friends. Yeah. But then we became teammates. And then upon that, you can imagine the bond that happens. Yeah. But in that bond, that builds a bond on the field, a bond in the classroom to push each other in the classroom. So your other teammates are ready to be able to do what they need to do on the field. So it works both ways. So he was always like great in showing us that from a young age and instilling us to kind of like push each other a little bit.
Yeah. No, and I know that a lot of people don't understand that. I was talking to Buddy on the previous episode about this. You can have 11 all-stars, you know what I mean, in tackle football, but you can have a lesser talented team. Not that you guys weren't talented, you guys were nasty, but you can have a lesser talented team, but if they work cohesively with great chemistry, that'll beat 11 individuals versus 11 people working as a unit. You know, and it's not tennis, it's not track, it's not wrestling. You know, as much as you want to like have 9 studs and 2 scrubs, those 2 scrubs might hurt you. No, you know what I'm saying? And me personally, for example, a good example is like we in South Miami, I graduated 2010. I know I'm old. And we had great skill players, but our linemen sucked. So if you can't control the trenches,
it's
our quarterback. What can your quarterback do? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like your skill players are not irrelevant. Like we made plays, bro, but I'd rather have less skill players and have beef on the line. You know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%.
A great O-line and D-line makes everybody look good.
Everybody. For offense and defense, it starts there. Where everything begins at the line. For defense, it starts for havoc because everything for them is timing, throwing off timing. For receivers, for quarterbacks, for us on offense, it's them creating the time, opening the holes, depending on if we're trying to go A gap, B gap, 1, 2, 3, depending on where the run hole is and all that different type of stuff.
Yeah, man. So So as you started going, I know you said you were traveling from like 7 to 12 with Ryan. So once you guys went to middle school, 'cause I know middle school football is kicking up more now.
Yeah.
So back then, did you play tackle around that age too, or when did you start tackle?
I started playing tackle at 13 years old. So I was going into 6th grade. I think that should be 6th grade. Yeah. 13, 14. Yeah. Going into 6th grade was my first year of football, of tackle football. And that basically just came to the decision. I was ready to play. My mom was never big on forcing me. She told me, listen, whenever you're ready to play and if this is what you want to do, like, go ahead. I'm never gonna force you into that. But if this is what you want to do, like we're gonna do it.
Of course.
So I mean, I went to Palmetto Bay, playing for the Broncos for the first time. That was an experience.
What did they have you play?
And I played tight end.
Tight end.
First.
Okay.
I played receiver also, but I played. Everyone played tight end.
Tight end,
pop pass.
Yeah.
But I walked out there. I was kind of tall, kind of lanky. I was playing in 115s. Back then I was not 115. But I was just kind of tall, lanky kid, and my first day in pads, coach brought up one of the biggest people out there, Leonard, one of our teammates, and he was like, all right, flip on your backs. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, hamburger drill?
Cool. Like, I have no idea what this is.
What's going on?
Like, I've seen videos kind of this, but I'm like, all right. And coach is like, he gives me the ball. He's like, you're going to flip and you're going to run through him.
You're like, what?
Coach, you see me? Like, he like shortens the cones. He's like, there's no step in either. I'm like, what do you mean step? He's like, no.
A to B. Yeah.
A to B. I'm like, all right, coach, like for sure. And I flip on my back. He blows the whistle and I get absolutely flat. And I ran with all my weight. I'm talking, I got up and Leonard's a little bit bigger than I am. He ended up playing D-line, but he flips and I'm up off the ground already. So I'm like, I wanted to get there before. Like, man, he turned around and folded me. And at that moment, I hit the ground and I got up and I was like, this is for me. Like, I love it. Like, this is my thing. And at that moment, I knew like football is for me. And that's when my mom like was big on me. Like, either you're going to get hit and love this, or you're going to get hit and know this is like, this isn't for you. And that's okay. Like, football is one of those things. Like, it's either for you or it isn't. Like, there's no in between. No. And it'll really make you find out. If you're in between, you'll know at some point.
That's why I hate it when I play flag football, because I'm been retired from tackle. But I hate when flag football people, if we were in pads, we would have done this. I just look at them like, bro, we're not in pads, first of all. And second of all, the people that usually talk the most about what they're gonna do weren't the real hitters, bro. Yeah, because I played defense my whole life. I would have preferred to play offense personally, but the best defensive players I've ever seen were like assassins. That's just silent. Like, they just strapped up, bro, and we get out of their way. Like some of them were linebackers, some of them were safeties, and I don't know. It's just a different ball game, man. When you get that first hit, and what people don't get to about tackle is the fear is bigger than the hitting itself.
It is.
Like, once you get clocked, you're like, that's all I was worried about.
That's all. Like,
like, it's all right.
To start games for me, like, honestly, there'd be times in high school, like, we'd go like maybe like 5, 10 minutes, like 2-3 drives. Like, and I've caught a couple passes or anything, but like, I haven't really got like touched, like maybe got out of bounds or anything. Like, I haven't got like tackled or hit. Yeah. And you're really like asleep. Like, you really are asleep. And then you get hit and it's crazy.
You're like, it's go time.
Oh, good. Like we're in. Like, your brain is like on a whole nother, like, it's crazy. It's a rush.
It is a rush. It's like, I feel like our bodies go into like a fight or flight mode, man. Yeah. And I've seen, for example, for those of you that are younger, you're going to see that there's going to be some guys, football specifically, they'll have great combines. They'll be great flag football players. But as soon as the pads come on, things change. Like, some people shine and some people just shrink, man. Yeah. And like you said, you're either all in or you want zero contact. Yeah. Like either you're super scared of it or you're like, I don't care. It's cool. We're going to have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we were talking about middle school. So I also started like around that age too, but I was begging my mom for years, bro. I played flag because that's the only thing I could play. But like you said, once I touched the football, I was like, forget baseball, forget soccer. I was like, this is amazing.
I knew as soon as I started like catching the football and figuring it out, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. And I remember baseball was one of those things. Like, I remember I played baseball, like travel league baseball. Like, I was playing all year long, all day, like till
it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop at all. We were going to tournaments. I'm talking all across the country, like playing top tier baseball, which was great. But in that, like, it's exhausting.
It is.
And like to play 9 or like at that age, I think it's like 6 innings. Like whatever it is, it's still long. Like, it is. And for me, the pace of it is too slow. Like
I'm super ADHD.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm the kid in the outfield, like oh butterfly, you know.
Lost out there.
Like when is it my turn to hit? We have not. So many people are going. Like, can I skip somebody? Like
for real. And I used to be like out there, like, yo, please hit it my way. Like,
just
please, like,
action.
We're just something. Like even like I can't even be stressed to mess up because I just want them to hit it this way. Like I just want a chance to do something.
So once you started playing tackle, man, did you know in middle school, like, oh, high school ball, like I want to be a receiver, or did it kind of like happen organically? Like, oh, I'm gonna play offense for sure. Or when you got to high school, they kind of gave you the option to play something? Or
I would kind of say by the time I got to like high school, middle school, I was kind of like, I kind of knew I was a receiver.
Yeah, you're like, this is me.
This is my craft, kind of. I think when I was around 6 years old and I started playing flag for the first time with Ryan, Coach Rudy kind of put me at receiver already, and honestly, he was extremely tough on me.
That's good, bro. The best tough. Coaches are.
And I would never ask for anything else. Like he instilled principles in me that are just lifelong, like forever, like just the hard work and to do it day in and day out, and not to like reap the reward or the harvest, but just to keep doing it day in and day out. And then eventually like you'll see it like throughout your life, you'll see it. So it's just the ideals of putting in the time. Like, I guess time is the biggest thing. Like in middle school from a young age, like I made the decisions to give up the time. Like I wasn't going out to all the parties. Like, I'm not saying I didn't, my mom didn't let me, or it had nothing to do with that. It was a decision I personally made for myself. Like if this is what you want to do, my mom explained like, these are the things that come with it. You're going to lose some friends. You're going to lose some time hanging out with everybody. Like you're not going to be able to go to every party at night. You may not be able to go to graduation. Like I didn't go to one of my proms because I was focused on the game the next day. Like, of course, my mom and them are big on like, go, go, go. Like I'm about business. Like, but that was from a young age. I guess that wasn't pushed on me, but something that I wanted for myself. So I guess.
That's why I told you before we got on camera, man, like you're very mature for your age. And
I appreciate that.
I know high school students, like you decided that at a very young age. I know high school kids that I train right now, or friends of mine's sons or daughters, that they still haven't made that decision. They still haven't made that click. And guys, if you really want to push your game to the next level, like those little sacrifices that Sean is talking about, that's pivotal, because everyone you're competing with is doing the same thing you're doing. So if you only go to practice, everyone's doing the same thing. But if you're doing extra lifts, if you're putting in extra work on your craft, so like Sean's a receiver, like running extra routes, getting timing with his quarterback, all those extra things, like if you do that like every day or whenever your schedule is, you get 1% better. And you keep adding that. And I think Ryan, football, Rudy, like Johan too, right? Like them giving you that structure so early on, like that's amazing, man. And I think a lot of younger athletes, I think the reason why they get overwhelmed when they go to college, and this is part of the reason why this podcast exists, is because I think education and sports, we need to get better at, because we're talented down here. I'm not denying that. But why do so many athletes struggle when they get to college? The education system, they get overwhelmed, including me, right? And then the structure, like you said, like once you get to college, man, like, can you talk, I'll let you talk about it. How is it going from high school to college? Like your schedule right now, so they can hear the reality of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, right. Once you get to, we can start freshman year. Like freshman year was rough. Like first day we can start off, honestly, like alarm went off. It's 4:30 a.m. Bounce. I'm like, whoa,
shit.
Like I'm up in the dorm. All my freshman teammates were all in a freshman dorm. So it's just us football players. You get there early in the summer as a freshman. So you're there by yourself. Like you got to understand at first, listen, like as freshmen, you're not going to just hop on and be like, yo, like
I'm the guy.
Where are the freshmen? Like, what's up? Like, it's not how it goes. Like at first you do freshman workouts just with freshmen. Everyone else, basically second year to fourth year, lives by themselves, the rest of the team, because you have to learn. Like first year, like you're learning to throw up weight at a different velocity, at a different pace than you ever have, because in college now, you're lifting 2 times a day maybe, or after practice, like you've had a whole blown practice. So it's not about like what you do, but how fast you can recover to do it again. Like that's the biggest thing we talk about in our receiver room. Like it's great to be great for a day, but can you be great for 7 days in a row when football is taxing on your body and you're lifting and you have school and you have a schedule and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So I would say the biggest thing when you get to college is going to be time management. which you're going to hear from absolutely everybody. And it's going to sound like, oh, cool is like easy, but it's not. Like when you get to college for the first time in your life, mommy and daddy won't be there to tell you anything. You'll have all the time in the world. And like, it sounds crazy. Like football takes up so much time and there's still so much more time to yourself for a lot to go wrong, for a lot to go right if you also plan it properly. So at the same time, you just need to be able to micromanage what's good for you, what works for you. You need to understand yourself and your schedule. Like I understood for me, like from a young age, like sleep was something that had to be important for me. So like my first year, I used to try and go to bed at 11 o'clock. Did that always happen? Absolutely not. Definitely. But I try my best. So I guess like freshman year is learning to figure out where you fit in amongst a group, of course, but also putting yourself out there to feel uncomfortable. Like freshman year was definitely the most uncomfortable I felt, but in that uncomfort, it's the most growth I've had, definitely, because in uncomfortable times is where you grow.
100%, man. That's well said. I encourage the high school athletes that I train right now. Some of them might not be happy not being able to go to UM or FIU, but I tell them like, don't be so torn up about that. Like if you can go to a school out of state, like I encourage it. And I understand like you're going to get homesick. And I understand that it's a mixture. You started smiling. It's a mixture of a lot of things, man. Like you said, like you have this schedule of lifting, practice, meetings. You still have to be a student at some point. You still have to sleep, eat, shower, hopefully shower. You know what I'm saying? You do all these things. And besides all that, you're like, I miss my mom. You know, I miss my friends. Like I miss like the way things were in high school where I knew what I was getting. So a lot of the unknowns, I feel like it shakes people too.
It definitely comes with, so I didn't even get into like the whole schedule. I got caught up just in the morning there. So honestly, like you wake up, honestly, then you go to breakfast with the team. Then you have lifts probably in the morning. Before or after lifts, you have a team meeting. You have a team meeting, a special teams meeting. Then you'll have your lift. Then after lift, we'll go warm up depending on what time or period it is of football season. But if we're in season, let's say you're going to get there in the morning. We're going to go to team meetings, special teams meetings. Then we're going to go to position meetings. So positions, everyone breaks down in their own positions. Then after that, we're going to go to stretch lines, get ready for practice. And then you'll go through your day of practice. After practice, you got lift. So lift, and that's from, I'd say practice for us is from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Class starts for me at 12 a.m. So I'm in and out the facility. As soon as practice ends,
gotta go.
At 10:45, I have my lift from 10:45 to I'd say like 11:25, 11:30. Like I'm pushing it real close. Coach and them are always big on making sure we get on time and all that. So that's never the issue. Schools always push first, or we can make a different lift time later if necessary, depending on school schedule, of course. But we always try and block it, where practice is not an issue, so we don't have to stress it, like you said. But that's your day. Like I've already been up since my alarm went off at 4:45, so I've been up since almost 5 a.m. You've been through a whole day exhausting of tiring workouts, practice. Like you're mentally fatigued. Like not only have you physically like gone through practice and hit each other and ran, like you've been in meetings for hours. Like you're going over all these things like game film, game strategy, game breakdown. Like there's a whole lot of stuff going on in that time.
For those of you in high school, I know now there's huddle. So things have gotten a lot better since I was in school. So the same way you guys study opponents, like, how your coach already brings you like a playlist. Sometimes in college, it gets a lot more extensive than that, right? So they'll go over like tendencies, formations, because I'm on the other side of you. So we'll be defense. So we'll go over offensive formations, like tendencies and stuff like that. If this guy lines up over here, they run this percentage of the time. If they line up on this hash mark, it gets deep, guys. It gets so deep. Like football is chess. It's just the coordinators pretty much playing chess with each other. And every week you need to have the same amount of focus to go to war with these people and play chess. And then as the season progresses, there's more film. So there's more tendencies and more, things to look at. So like you said, like just because you're physically doing stuff, but your mental focus needs to be on point every single day. Like I love Deion Sanders. And one of the biggest things I've seen him talk about is with the younger generations is the lack of mental focus, including not even younger, like the older guys like myself. A lot of people I practice with lacked mental focus in practice. And you don't do your teammate a service by taking plays off. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off demanding aggressiveness and like turning your teammate up versus, hey, if you take a play off, I'll take a play off. I used to piss me off. So I would light somebody up sometimes for that. Just, you know what I mean? Like,
set the tone.
Yeah. And if you practice like that, your games on Saturdays are going to deflect or reflect that. You know what I'm saying? So
the way we talk about, honestly, in like college is like, you can show up to practice focused, right? There's a difference between being focused and focused in. Like, you can be focused on whatever the situation is, but still kind of be lost, just gazing. But there's a whole different thing when you take practice and you make it what we call deliberate practice. Like, you are deliberately going out here to achieve a goal. Like, and it can be something small. It should start from something small. Like, there's days I go out there and my 3 goals, I'll break down 3 goals for myself as a receiver group. That's what we normally do. And then those are my 3 goals, but there'll be little things like use my outside release every time I'm going on my one-on-ones, just to have a feel and comfort to my outside release. Like, even if he's giving me the look or a press that I don't like, I'm still going to use this outside release. Why? Because we're in practice. The point is to learn to build, because what if in game he shifts and I have an idea and it doesn't work? Like, okay, now I have a backup plan because I've practiced backup plans if they don't go my way. So I would say being deliberate about what you're doing, like being deliberate on your shoulder height. Like, I was big on that because I'm a taller receiver, right? So I get caught up sometimes. I'll sit up straight. Like, as you get tired, fatigue, things like that start to go, right? Everybody in the first half, in the first quarter, listen, everybody can give your best shot. Everybody's out there chirping, their dog, this and that. I'm him. Listen, when you get to the fourth quarter and you're gassed, and there's no more timeouts and you got to go, and coach is looking at you calling NASCAR, and you're on there like, and we're on play 12, and you're like this trying to tap, and he's like, no.
You stay in there.
You can stay in because we're in NASCAR, and everybody's looking at you trying to go hurry up. You better get to that line because you know that clock's running. So those are like decisions you got to make, and that preparation and deliberate practice that you set for yourself will be big. Like, one of our receiver things is like, even if we ran the ball in practice, we finish 10 yards, finish next to the running back. If we throw a toss left and I'm the far receiver on the right, I got to run at least 10 yards all the way to the left, like chasing this dude. I'm like, coach, like, when am I ever going to get in the block? But what does it instill later on in the game, or you get in game situation and we throw this toss, your running back busts one, you know, he breaks a couple guys and everybody's chasing, and you're that one dude lacking, and that safety or corner from the other side splits and chases your running back down. Everybody, right, is great, big run. But at the end of the day, like, if you look at the film as the player and the coaches, you could have been that dude. Like, that's your block. Like, you're supposed to be down there helping your teammate. All 11 are supposed to be accounted for. So that's your man. Like, that's on you. So you got to make sure you get down there.
That's a great point, because the same way on defense, how we're taught pursuit drills, you guys are taught angle. So like, I've never seen a big run by a running back where a receiver didn't make a key block downfield, you know, and a lot of people that don't play football don't understand that. Like, running backs are great, but that one hat on a hat that took them downfield, that's huge.
And honestly, for your running backs, like, listen, I'm gonna talk about running backs just for a second, because those dudes are special on a football field. One of my best friends, Mike Hollins, plays running back, and I love him because I love him, period. But like, he is special on a football field because he can do it all. He can run, he can pass block, he can run block, like he can catch. Like, at running back, you're not just running. Like, you're doing it all. You do
nowadays is
everything the O-line does. You're doing everything the receiver does. You're catching the ball. You're picking up blitzes. Like, and
that's hard. Picking up blitzes. Oof.
A receiver, listen, right? Everybody wants to. My favorite thing being a Florida boy, of course, is a go ball. What does that take in football? Time. You need some time to get down there. Listen, when they're bringing that safety or that nickel on the blitz, that backer has, your running back has to step up and pick him up.
And they're coming with a full head of steam.
Listen, those dudes out there are not small. And you got to step up there, and we're not chopping. You got to go ahead and meet him face to face and like set
and you're stagnant.
You get me? You're stagnant. You're stepping up and you got to hit him. Like, those dudes are out there taking shots in the mouth for you to catch the ball. So like, at the end of the day, like, the least you can do for them is run block. Like, at receiver, like, don't take a play off. Like, the biggest thing is like, it shows, like you said, tendencies. You guys study tendencies. Like, there's a lot of receivers who jog off the ball, like, oh, it's a run, cool. Like, or like their running back breaks one out of nowhere. Like, they break a tackle and you stop blocking for a second. Like, you finish your block, like, be on your man and dog him till the end. Like, you don't stop till you hear that whistle. And when the whistle stops, like, you know, dudes love to get into it. Like, bro, Next play.
Yeah.
You get to fight this dude all day.
You have plenty of time.
The greatest thing about football is you can be physical in the whistles. Like,
yeah,
you can do everything you want to an extent in the whistles. Like,
that's why I love the game, bro. It's beautiful.
Greatest game ever.
And then also going back to what you were talking about, man, you touched some great points there about your intention for practice.
Yep.
I can't stress enough how important that is, because if you stick to only what you're good at, you will not improve. Like that's kind of like we said about being uncomfortable.
Yep.
Staying in your comfort zone and only doing what you're good at, you're gonna be a one-trick pony.
Yep.
But like you said, like if you have trouble with outside releases when someone's playing you in cover 2 outside, you're like, damn, how am I gonna do this? Or if he's playing you this way. So just like the coaches are playing chess, skill players play chess as well. Because like you said, you're going to face somebody an entire game. You can't run an out or a dig the same way every single time.
Yep.
You know, so you have to have a bunch of tools in your toolbox to run the same route, you know? And that your bag can't expand unless you work on different ways to like do the same thing and give a different look, like lowering your pad level. Like all those little details, guys, is what makes you from like a good receiver to an excellent one, or a good athlete to like a great athlete, you know? But it, like Deion Sanders was saying, like if you don't have that intention for practice, like you just touched on, how are you going to get better? And sometimes that could be contagious too. Like, so if you see teammates, like let's say like from the freshman, like when you were in your freshman year, they see like you're kind of like effing off. The same way good energy is contagious, bad energy is contagious too, you know? So if you're one of those people, like be the example, you know what I'm saying? And have that attention to detail and like inspire your teammates to do better versus joking around, because that's also contagious as well, you know? So let's talk about high school a little bit. So you knew you were going to be a receiver for sure, top to bottom. So where'd you go to high school?
I went to Gulliver Prep.
Okay.
I also went to Palmer Trinity. I went to Palmer Trinity for middle school. So I went there from 7th grade to 9th grade. And then I transferred and left to Gulliver for my 10th.
Are you and Nico the same age?
Yeah.
So you guys played together your freshman year?
Yeah, on the same team. Yeah.
Nice. And how come you left? I haven't heard this story. I don't know.
So I honestly knew from a young age, like I was going to go to Gulliver. Like it
that was always a school you wanted?
Like, I always wanted to go there, and like
it's a great school,
Sean
man.
T went there and all that. Like that was just kind of where I wanted to go in terms of school. But I applied there in 6th grade. I got in, but I was on the waiting list. So I didn't end up getting in that year. So I went to Palmetto Middle School, which is a public school, for a year. I went there, did well. That wasn't too hard or anything like that. So it was a good time there. Then 7th grade, I went over to Palmer, played my middle school years there. In 8th grade, I started playing varsity. So that was great.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was tremendous I would say it was tremendous for my confidence, honestly, because like one of the biggest things is like I never felt big dog by anyone, because I was doing this since 8th grade. Like varsity, when I hit freshman year, didn't feel like varsity because I've been doing this.
There's no adjustment. Yeah.
There's no adjustment. Like my 8th grade year was my freshman year in terms of like once 8th grade middle school season finished, I moved up to the high school team. So that process was just like, it made it easier because I got a head start. The head start was massive, I'd say. And
with high school, right? So you went to Gulliver. How was the structure there? Like, how was it from like the practice structure, you know, like the coaching and stuff like that? Like, how'd you like it or dislike it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Gulliver is absolutely the place to be in terms of like head coach. Coach Sims, Earl Sims, isn't first one of the most amazing men in the world. He is another mentor of mine who has helped me extremely throughout my life. Coach Sims has the keys and principles that teaches you everything else but football.
Wow.
He teaches you everything else but
as a person.
Football. It's about being a man. It's about how you show up to your job every day, how you get there on time, how you show up to work, like principles. He also is a UVA graduate and alumni.
Oh, okay.
He used to go and play football at the University of Virginia. So that's very cool. But his program and the way he runs his program is all run through love, but through toughness. Like you have to be tough. And he also shows you that hard work pays off, but you have to be willing to deal with the hard work and what comes with it. Like there used to be days, you know, he'll make us do some things that you don't want to do in the hot sun in Miami when it's 98 degrees and you're doing some crazy runs. And then coach is like, now we got push-ups like on the hot turf, like because it instills mindset. Like he's not letting us get hurt, of course, like, but he's instilling that you got to be tough and be willing to to push. To your body can always push more than it'll let you, right? Our mind always tells us like to stop. It's always going to tell you as soon as you feel any type of uncomfort, your body's always going to tell you to stop. Your mind's always going to tell you, I can't go anymore. I'm just a little bit too tired. For me, like I used to get winded real fast and I'd be like, oh, like my asthma hurts. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, you're okay. Like you got a little more before you really tap out. Like, but your brain is going to tell you instantly that you can't. But the truth is like through that and through that repetition of training to an extent where you're exhausted, you learn that you can push your brain and yourself further than you could ever imagine. Like
mental toughness is something that, in my opinion, separates athletes in high school for sure, but definitely in college. Because like the higher levels you go, guys, the more the playing field gets leveled out, you know? So what really separates you is like what you do in those meeting rooms, that extra work, you know, on your craft. And then, you know, the coaching for sure.
No, definitely.
So I'm really happy. I really love hearing stories of good high school stories, you know what I mean? Because I had a different experience, you know? So I can't stress enough, guys, your selection for high school, man, like in middle school, start doing your homework on like, maybe drop in on a practice, you know, or referrals go a long way, just like in business, you know, like see who's there if you know people in a high school program and see how the coaches are, you know what I'm saying? Like,
honestly, even like going into middle or not even going into high school, like I already knew, like I understood as a receiver, like I need an offense. We're going to throw the ball in. Like you got to be understanding of that. If this is what you want to do. Like I knew from a young age, this was like my business for me, my business platform. And like, this is what I want to do. Like I understood I wasn't trying to be the dude, like the ball's only got to go to me. I only want to touch the rock. No, I want to be surrounded by a bunch of dudes who are just as skilled as me and talented, but also at the same time have the same mindset as me. But like we're willing to put our prides aside, to put our skills forward, to put the team forward, to put everything else that matters forward, which is football. Like at the end of the day, put our prides aside. It's not about so much your drama or your baggage. Like when you get to the door of a football team, like you become brothers instantly. Like you go through bonds that will and treacherous territories that'll make you extremely tight. And especially once you get to college, because listen, once you step out of your university, don't nobody really like you.
Yeah. So, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And another skill that I think you develop naturally through team sports is there are going to be some shitty days. Like there are going to be some days that you had a fight with like your current girlfriend, or like you and your coach went at it, or you and your mom, whatever. Just it's a bad day. You know, you're going to have a bad day sometimes. And you being able to put that in a little box and compartmentalize and just put it to the side and then be able to work on your craft, or your friends joke with you and practice and they kind of lift your spirits up. They know that you're a little down. Those are little things that I hold on to, because like once you graduate from school and whatever, like the more you grow up, the more you become like on your own. And I think like that's one of the things I miss the most about a team is like they can lift you up, or like what you said, you go to an away game, everybody hates you.
You learn to lean on those guys.
Yeah,
honestly,
you go through adversity together.
One of the biggest things is like you become so tight with some of these dudes. Like you will have, everybody will tell you like, right? Like you're going to have some of these friends from college are going to be your lifelong friends.
That's to this day.
Because in 4 years, listen, you'll build some stuff in 4 years and you can have friends, I promise, from age 1 to 18 before you go to college. And you'll have friends from 18 to 23 that'll be more influential to your life than those friends ever were.
Quality over quantity.
Because 4 years, my boy, by yourself, those dudes become your family. At the end of the day, like you said, you lean on them. There's days, you know, my best friend, Deshaun Perry, who went to Gulliver with me, you know, we went to Virginia, and my other best friend, Mike Hollins, who plays running back, he's from Baton Rouge. You know, when would I ever have said, like, yeah, Deshaun, we're from Miami, I grew up with him, but when would I ever said, like, my other best friend is from Louisiana or Baton Rouge? Like, that's something that happens from football. That's a blessing, but it came through, like, some hard things. Like, I lean on those dudes, you know, like, days, like you said, like, I may have had something, issue with my girlfriend or whatever it could have been, or, you know, I woke up just tired, bad day, like, failed a test, struggling, like, you know, you're in college, you're going through life, you're going to have some bad days, but when you have brothers like that you can lean on, like, used to be days I used to tell them, like, y'all, like, I'm just struggling, or like, today's a bad day. And like to have someone like as your brother, like, you know, dap you up, give you a hug, like, hey, we got this, we're gonna be straight. Like, that's crucial. And it's crucial to your success in college, making sure you have a group of guys that you trust. Like my group of friends, I trust with everything I got. Like I tell them everything, like they're my own brothers, like my own blood. Like, and the things I trust in them and tell them, I know they're looking out for my best benefit. So at the end of the day, it may not be what I want to hear, but I know it's for my best benefit.
That's how you know they're good friends.
And when you can have tough conversations like that as a brother and look at your brother and say, I don't agree with you, or I don't think what you're doing is right, or hey, you need to change this and that, that is when you become true friends, because it's built through uncomfort once again, right? No one's comfortable. Like if you're my best friend, I'm not trying to tell you like, hey, you shouldn't have done this, like this and that, because who am I to tell you how to do things? I'm not trying to tell you I'm doing it right either, because I may not be perfect. But you can tell me how you did something because it could help me. But I can also tell you how I did something because it could help you. And you just may not see it the way I'm seeing it at that moment. So like clarity from your friends and outside perspective from people you trust and know are looking for your best benefit is a massive thing. And especially in college when you're by yourself and mom and dad are only a call away. And like the truth is like the hardest thing for your parents is going to be is like they can't help you. Like no matter what you say, right? Like they can't. Like I used to call my mom like, Mom, practice was hard. It was long. We had meetings all day. Like I don't think I want to play football anymore. Like,
I've had that conversation.
Like, she was like, listen, like tighten up. Like you're good. You're not going to die. Like this is what you wanted to do. This was your business decision. So go ahead and live with it now. Like this was on you. Like this is what you said you wanted to do. And my mom's very big on like whatever I wanted to do is what she'd push me to do. It was never like you had to play football. You had to play basketball. You have to be an athlete. It was always whatever you want to do, we're going to be successful at it. And I'm going to push you to be the best at it because that's what you want. And as a parent, I think that is one of the most like tremendous things you can do for your child. And something I appreciate my mom for. Cause
shout out to moms, man. Mama Moore. That's a sign of a good parent, man. Coming from someone like me, that's a trainer. Honestly speaking, I have trained kids that are being forced to play a sport. You make them hate it. You make them hate it, bro. Like when you, for example, I had a buddy of mine and South Miami, we were mediocre in football. We were very good in basketball and baseball at the time. And I had a buddy of mine, he was projected to be a draft pick for the MLB, maybe one of the lower things, and then eventually go to the major leagues. But his dad pushed him since we were in elementary school. Because you know how it is, baseball, you can play since you're tiny. And that much pressure, that much negativity for 15 plus years. By the time he got to high school, you know what he did? He's like, I don't want to play anymore. He was at the cusp of benefiting from everything he did. And his dad was so intense on him. I won't say names, obviously, but his dad was so intense on him that he's like, yo, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not. He got a regular, there's nothing wrong with getting a regular job, but you did all this and that was the end goal. And you were right there. And you know what I'm saying? So just parents, just be careful with, I know that most of you, all of you, if you're pushing your kid like that, have good intentions. Just remember that your dream is your dream and their dream is their dream. And like Sean, like Mama Moore, you know, like do what you want to do it to the best of your ability, but don't lose your love for the game and understand what you signed up for. That's it. Leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? You can't push them to the point where they hate the sport or they start resenting you, because then it becomes a job. And the sport itself will become a job as it is. For me personally, like I keep it real with my clients, the ones that are high school and stuff. I'm like, listen, man, college was the least amount of fun I had in football. I only enjoyed one season out of 4. Truly.
I kind of agree with that in terms of you could say you enjoyed college. Like I've enjoyed all 4 years, but football wise, there were definitely some struggle years. Like I'm very honest. Like when I come back to Gulliver and stuff like that, and I talk to the high schoolers every once in a while, I'd be like, listen, like y'all go ahead and enjoy this. Cause listen, when I know it's all glamour and fashion. Like I wanted to do it too, be a 5-star, be that dude going to a big school. Like, but listen, regardless if you're 3-star to 5-star to no stars, doesn't matter. Like once you're going to college, it's a business. This is about business. It's no longer just about the childhood game, because this childhood game now makes monetary value. And in that it changes. So you got to understand, like, the truth is, I'm gonna be honest, and I tell the same way I tell the Gulliver High School kids. Once you step on a football team in college, you become part of a chessboard. Listen, whether you like it or not, either you can learn how to be the chess piece you want to be and play the chess game you want to play on that board, or you can become part of that game and get played. So it all depends. Like you got to be honest about that, and that's one thing. Like my mom is very business and from a business mindset. So she was big on me from a young age, understanding business and how business works and understanding like that football. I understood from a younger age, like how college football and the NFL, like how much money they made. Like my mom was big, like she used to print like that the percentage of NFL players that would go broke, the percentage of NFL players that would make it to the league, like what the actual percentage of dudes who got cut from the NFL were.
Yeah.
She would put up the exact number of dudes that got drafted in the combine, like so I knew the number, like because people don't understand little things like that, right? Like it's like
those percentages are a lot smaller than you think.
A lot smaller than you think, and they get broke down. Like when you look at it, like there's only so many colleges, and there's a whole lot of football players.
Oh yeah.
A whole lot of football players. And in that, you also got to understand like different colleges are at different points, at different times team-wise in terms of seniors, freshmen on heavy one side, low one side. So now especially, even if in my time, especially like with COVID and everything going on now, it's a whole lot different. I know I've heard for a lot of younger high school recruits because, now we have dudes like me, this is my senior year and I'm only a first year. Like freshman eligibility wise, I'm in my first year of eligibility. So technically I could play 4 years of college football. Like if I decided to, yeah. So that makes it hard, when you have dudes who, I'm 22 years old and I could technically under my rules play for 4 more years. And you have another dude who's a freshman and coaches are looking at him and balancing that. Like, it's a little different when you have dudes who are 7th year seniors now. Like I had some teammates this year who are 7th year teammates.
Yeah.
7 years old. 7 years old.
I knew what you meant. 7 year seniors.
7 year seniors. And, these dudes like got into college when I was still in pushing like middle school, going into high school, like freshman year of high school. Like these dudes have been doing this, like been playing college football.
Yeah. Let me give you my example. So I was one of those guys because one of the reasons why this podcast exists is because I was doing everything through trial and error, right? So when I was bouncing from school to school, I didn't understand the transfer rules. And I also didn't understand you can lose credits. So I lost time. I lost time. Like I didn't fail those classes. I failed some because I had to, like I said earlier, I had to adjust to be a student. But once I got my act together with my grades were fine. I would transfer to this school. I lost X amount of credits. I'm like, damn, man, that's a year or that's a semester. That's 4 months.
Definitely.
Like every 12 credits is like, or every 12 to 15 credits, that's 4 months of your time. You know what I'm saying? So if you lose like 24 or that's a year.
That's a year, yeah.
And that's why I was one of those 6 year seniors because I was like, man, like I would have been done already if I would have known this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this podcast exists. So people understand like if you have to transfer from here to there, understand the rules.
Honestly, yeah, that's massive, especially at a young age in like high school. Like that was one thing that I would say, like, if you're a parent, like understanding that is massive. Like that is one of those things. Once again, I will give my mom her flowers. Listen, shout out moms. I love you, mom.
Mama more.
She made me and is everything I am. My mom is a single mom. She is my best friend.
Same.
My everything. Like she taught me how to get it. Like, and she shows me every day how to go back out and do it again and go get it again. Like she is definitely the hustler, the rock. She holds it down for the fam. And it's more about for her, like she showed me like from a young age, like I showed her that I wanted to play football and she had my back in that all the way. Like she understood as a parent, my mom understood those rules. She had the FHSAA breakdown rules printed out. Like my mom used to have a binder that was their whole rules. She understood the rules. She understood how transfer worked. She knew my transfer time. By the time I ended up transferring from Palmer, honestly, like I was in and out. Like by the time the last school day ended, I knew what was happening. Like if we were going, like she had that all set up. So understanding that, because she understood the time that I needed to be in to be there to be able to play for spring. So I'd be eligible to be able to be looked at for my 10th grade year and playing at a bigger school. Like these were all things she understood. Crucial. Massively crucial to my career, honestly, and to any child's career, because as the parent, like the truth is I could have never done that. Like I just don't understand that. Like at
me neither.
Age, like,
I didn't know.
Now I can understand it, but I didn't know until my mom taught me. And then when my mom taught me, I'd say things to my teammates like, oh, did you know this and that? Like, oh, we need to do this. And they're like, oh, nah. But like now they know. Now they can pass it on, So now everybody's learning. So like I think knowledge of not just like college football, but high school football and the situations that your kids are in, like understanding the programs and the things that they want to do is big, like massive.
Educating yourself, doing the research, guys. That's what he hit right there. Oh my God, man. That's so crucial. I envy you guys. You have this podcast to listen to. Honestly, I wish someone would have guided me like your mom did, you know, like that's crucial right there. Yeah. Information is key, guys. So we spoke a little bit about like intention in practice, you know, like working on your craft. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on that you think took you to the next level with your game?
I would say film. I'm gonna start on film. So listen, I'm a film addict. I love the X and O's of football. I love to understand the game, but that is also, I understand, not everyone's forte. But if you are willing to learn that from an earlier age, it'll help you. Like from a young age in high school, from 9th grade, I was watching film. Like, yeah. I'm not saying do this, guys. Please don't. But I'm sure some of you will. You be in class, and I was watching.
Like Sean, you understood that? Yeah.
Definitely.
Post corner, right?
Exactly. Like, this guy backpedals out slow. I'm out here watching all this stuff. But like, I was just addicted. I love the film because when you get to the game, it made it so much easier. Like,
it slows down.
It slows down so much. And at receiver, I think one of the biggest things, right, is understanding the field around you. When you're able to understand and break it down to see like, this is cover 2. They're dropping cover 6 on this side, which is cover 2 on one side plus cover 4 on the other. For some of y'all that are younger, like you'll learn that like 4 + 2, there you go, cover 6. Like,
there you go.
Like,
makes sense.
Like, that's crazy. And then some of you guys are gonna be like, yo, that's what cover 6 is. Like, yeah, X on Madden. I hear you.
Yes.
You don't even know you're calling coverages, have no idea what you're driving into. But understanding those things help you because then you understand the weaknesses of the defense. Like, listen, if I'm a receiver and let's say we got, I got a go ball, right? And I'm on the outside and I get this cover 2 look. I'm understanding that he's going to force me outside, right? Mm-hmm. He has to force me outside. But in going outside, for me, I'm going to have to outside release. Let's say I have we call it a more, and a must outside release go ball. You have to go outside. You have to understand, cool, like when this cover 2 shifts and you beat this DB or get on top of him, you're not going to have this 16 to 18 yard honey hole shot is what we call it, right? Mm-hmm. The honey hole. You have to be able to understand to get to that gap, but also to settle your speed down so that ball can fit in that gap. Mm-hmm. But in that, you can't just jog and, just, I'm going to get around him because, you can get this ball picked off. If you don't run out of there, you don't get the DB to back up to create space. So in that, like, you have to be understanding of the concept and coverage that is being dropped. If we're motioning on offense, right? A lot of kids don't understand, like, oh, motion's cool, zigzag. Like, I'm just trying to beat him. Like, no, like, if you're the motion dude, like,
you're setting something up.
Like, you're running to understand and see, like, if I'm motioning from left to right and I'm the motion, like, I'm running right, but my eyes are always across because there's something happening. As you're on the defensive side, as something changes on offense, you got to change on defense. Something has to happen. So if this dude bumps, the bump lets us know, like, the bumps, if they're bumping, they're probably in zone. Right? That's what it is. Most likely, you can assume. You can still play man, of course. Right. But they're most likely in zone. If that dude's chasing you, screaming across, like, and he sits there and he's eyes on, and you look, if you're the inside receiver now in the motion, you look outside, and the outside DB is looking at your outside receiver like this, most likely in man. Like, dudes are all locked in. Yep. Everybody not looking around. There's no bump going on. Like, so understanding that helps you at receiver, like, because then you're able to understand your routes, your timing, like windows, when you should get it. If you have a dig route and you understand what coverage you're dropping, then you understand you may not get it in this first window. And this is more realistic to like a second window type of shot where you may get it. You may need to settle it down and slow down in the second window. Like, things start to change and routes start to become less route like just run like this. Like there's more, there's windows, there's drops, there's things.
It gets deep, guys. And what he touched on, that's exactly what takes your game from good to great right there. Understanding when to run what. And I'm so glad he touched on that, man. We're definitely going to clip that later for you so you can share it.
Definitely.
So I know Gulliver's a great school. So were you prepared? We haven't touched education much. Were you prepared from high school to college educationally?
I would say, honestly, education for me started from before that. I would say it started at Alexander Montessori, which is my middle school. And, it was amazing there in terms of it's a prep school from a young age. It's a college prep school, but from middle school. So when I got there, honestly, like, I struggled. My first year, I for the first time in my life, had an F. I had an F in Spanish.
Oh, how was Mama more about that?
Not happy. Not at all. Like I used to walk in and be like, Ma, like I studied all night, and she'd watch me and like I failed. Like, and like she wasn't the worst on me because she saw me like working. Yeah. But of course she was mad. But I was like, Ma, like this isn't my first language. It's like,
it's Spanish.
It's in Spanish. Like I'm learning. And she used to be big. Like of course, like we're from Miami. Everybody speaks Spanish. So it's something I needed to know, which was massive on her. Like making me understand. Like this is something you do need to know and need to take time to learn, because other people just knowing English isn't fair. Like to say like just because you're here in the United States, you come to America, like this is the first language. Like you need to know English. Like being bilingual and being able to understand, being able to expand your knowledge is great. Like as a human, like being able to speak in other languages and be able to talk to other people.
It builds bridges.
It builds bridges and connections, and you're able to network. Like that's what your life is. Like you got to understand, like I am Sean Moore, but in that, like I'm my own business, my own platform. So I also have to understand how to run myself, because like, yes, I want to be a kid and do all that, but like my Instagram, my Snapchat, all that stuff is like, it's who you are. Like all that is your business platform. Like I'm always making sure like on my IG, it's basically football or my art stuff. Like that's all it's in between, because that's my business platform. That's where people go to look at me in terms of what I sell myself,
what you provide,
business, who I am. Like, so
that's awesome, bro. You got a good head on your shoulders, man. That's awesome. All right. So if you can travel in time and talk to your younger self, younger self, because you're still young, but what would be like a little piece of advice you would give yourself?
Dang,
you've done a lot of things right, man. Like I haven't really heard too many like things that you regret or anything like that. But if you can find something.
No, I could definitely tell you some things like I definitely regret, like confidence. Getting strict was one of my biggest things.
You're so confident to me. That sounds weird.
Right. So like if you know me, I'm the most I come off with the most confidence, because for me, my mom also, as you see, is big, like instilled in me just being confident in myself, right? I always grew up being skinnier than everyone. I'm not the biggest.
Flaquito.
I'm not the biggest receiver. I don't walk in the room and you're like, damn, like, look at that dude. Like, he plays wide out. I always had to prove to people, like, I could do this. But, like, in that, like, you become confident, but having your confidence instilled in yourself is the biggest thing. Like, you can't.
It's harder than it sounds.
It gets caught up in our generation, other people wanting to make you feel confident, right? Or you get caught up in, like, other people saying, like, you're great. Like, you could do this, like, yo, you're tough. Like, that was hard. Like, the truth is, like, at the end of the day, only thing that matters is you and what you're confident in. Like, you have to be confident in your game, because there'll be one day when those people won't say those great things. Well, they'll say like,
exactly,
damn, he dropped that ball. That dude sucks. Like,
yeah,
the
same person that was just rooting for you.
My son could have caught that ball. Like, or it's fourth down to win the game. You drop it. They're like, oh, that. Yeah. Everything you've done is gone out the window. Like, that dude sucks. Like, why do we ever like recruit him? Or like, so you have to be willing to hear other people and stick to your confidence. Like, you have to be,
no matter what,
you have to be willing to die by that sword of your own confidence. Like, so for me, the biggest thing for me is my confidence. Like, I rely on it more than anything, because, you know, I'm not the biggest dude. So when I used to step to the line, I used to be big. Like, I love when people jam me. I love when dudes come to the line. Like, that was something I had to learn to love, like, from a young age. And that was one thing, like, that was great for my coaches in teaching me. I think they made me feel comfortable in that. Like, I love to get pressed, like, for sure. Like, why? Because listen, it's even faster to beat you. Like, once you get beat off this line, like, you're at the will of me, my boy.
Yep. Yeah, you stack them, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Like, you're chasing me. Now you're playing chase.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, you got to catch me. And a receiver, you don't know where I'm going, in, out, sideways. Like, boy, I got a whole field.
Right.
We got a lot.
And then you're a
time.
strider. You're not slow by any means. Yeah.
So definitely we got some space. So, like, even though it's uncomfortable, because that's everyone's biggest thing, right? Just jamming. Like, everybody wants to
get aggressive.
Bounds. Like, listen, like, first, it's real hard to jam properly. Like, listen, I know a lot of y'all think in high school y'all can jam. Y'all can't properly jam. Like, grabbing people up by their jersey is not jamming. Like, there's a technique to what you're doing. You are jamming for your technique to cover this dude. You're not jamming to take him out of bounds. Like, if you can, go ahead. I'm not with you for sure. Right. No. But you're jamming for technique. It's to throw time off. There's a whole lot of other things going on. And when you go step on a college football field, listen, throwing people out of bounds is out of decision. Those 11 dudes out there aren't getting thrown out of bounds.
Good luck even touching them.
Shouldn't be like, yeah, like you shouldn't be getting tossed out of bounds. And it's much the skill gap shortens, right? There's a lot more guys out there who are skilled. Every dude was you in your high school. So, right, the same way I feel like, yeah, I'm Sean Moore. I went to Gulliver Prep. I'm that dog.
Right.
It's the same way who from Northwestern felt from his school. Now we both play at Virginia. Now he feel like I'm a dog. I feel like I'm a dog now. Everybody,
let's figure it out.
All 180 or 120 dudes on the team feel like they dogs. Like, let's find out. Like, let's find out who's real of the real dogs now. Like, that's what it becomes about. So understanding your confidence and being willing to push that forward is big, because I let it break my freshman year, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like,
that happens.
Freshman year, I kind of started like doubting myself. Like, I was playing well, but I wasn't getting all the reps I wanted. Every once in a while, I'd be doing scout, or I'd be on the scout team for a week or weeks.
It hurts the ego, man.
It's hard. Like, like
being the man.
Everyone at home's calling like, yo, how's everything going? And like, oh, you practicing a bunch, and you're like, yeah, like practice is great. Like, wooty woo, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, but you're not like saying like, I'm taking 4 reps.
Yeah.
And that's what you get in 4 reps. And like,
freshman life is tough. It's a big adjustment.
It's hard. So like understanding like your confidence and not letting that break is big. Like, I felt like for me, struggling to get that back was like hard for me, because I knew like something that made my game what it was gone. Like it was hard because I wasn't confident. I'd get to the line and think like extra more than I had to, or thinking about like moves or releases I was going to give instead of just being fluent like I normally.
And having fun. Yeah.
And having fun. And you could see it. You could see it in my play. Like you could see I was thinking.
Because you were playing steps, not to make mistakes.
Exactly. I was playing because why? Like,
your reps were
if coach says 6 yards and I hit 5 yards, he's taking me out. Like, little things, but you can't mess up on that as a freshman. You have to understand like timing is the thing. Like if coach says hitch at 6 yards, it's hitch at 6 yards, not at 5. Why? Because the quarterback's now, he still hasn't got to his back foot. Now that DB's driving on the ball. Now we got issues going on a 5-yard hitch. Like, come on, your job's supposed to be at 6. Like, those are little things you have to learn. Like, but you're stressed, right? You're a freshman. You're learning the offense. You're like watching these hand signals coming in. You're trying to remember the
brain overload.
Brain overload. Like everybody's yelling. Defenses are shifting. Like you're young. There's a whole lot. It's fast. So like instilling that confidence in yourself that you're going to mess up, but understanding that messing up and that uncomfort is going to make you stronger, and pushing through it will make you so much better, and it'll make the process a lot better. Like, I think if I could have told myself anything, it'd be like, don't let anything shake your confidence, like ever. Like, because once I got it back, I was like, oh, listen, I'm never giving it back up.
Ever.
Like, they'll never take it from me. Like from here on, I'm the baddest dude out here, and y'all can find out. Like, but that has to be for me. That's for me, because I need that to push myself. Like I said, I'm not the biggest dude. So I have to remind myself in my head, I gotta be the biggest dude for myself, because like I gotta play to another extreme for myself to, for it to fit for me. That's just what works for me. Everyone's not completely like that, but it just kind of depends.
No, that's a great advice that would have worked for me too. It would have helped me out a lot in college, honestly, because I lost my confidence as well. So before we head out, man, do you have any advice for high school athletes, bro?
My advice to high school athletes, I would say, honestly, would be to take your time and make decisions that are best for you. Like, what you're going to do in your life is going to be by your own decisions. Like, at the end of the day, you cannot fault anyone for the things you do, because they're decisions that are made by you, right? At the end of the day, like, everything comes down to you. Like, so for me, I have, my tattoos here say, be great. Like, that's something my mom told me as a child. Like, and I instill in myself to like, remind myself to be great day in and day out. And like, greatness is not being perfect, because there's no way to be perfect if, ands, or buts, but understanding that you're going to succeed and fail some days, and being willing to, understand that the high highs will pass and the low lows will pass. Like, this too shall pass is something that I also have tattooed. That's big to me. Like, understanding that this too shall pass. Like, everything that is great will pass, and everything that is bad will pass. And there will be great days and bad days, but you have to be willing to accept them and be willing to push yourself forward for the better of yourself. Like, I think that would be one of the biggest things. And then football wise, I would say, honestly, just like understand who you are as a football player. Like, be who you want to be as a football player. Like, I walked out and I understood what I wanted to do from a young age. I knew who I wanted to be, and I wasn't going to let anybody stop me from being that. Don't change yourself, your game, your style for anybody. Like, one thing I learned is that you can also pick up from other people's style. Like, don't be afraid to take from other people's games. Like, we got other receivers, right? Like, one of my best friends, Dontavian Wicks, who's getting ready. He just had his his combine day the other day, which was great. He had a phenomenal showing. Nice. But like, that's one of my best friends. But I take so much of his game. Like, I'm not gonna. I tell him all the time.
Everyone emulates somebody
all the time, dog. Yeah. Like, and there's things I teach him that he uses. So you can get me. Like, don't be afraid to learn from other people's bag. But he's a different type of receiver than I am. Like, he has a different explosion and a different set than I have. But in that, learning, or just, on the weekends, that's my guy. Like, hey, let's go to the field and wearing shoes. Like, let's just go over, like, bro, how you do that? Like, how'd you do that release? Like, and just messing with it, or like, this is how I do it, and adding your sauce to it. Then it becomes yours, right? Like, I'm not taking exactly what he does. I'm taking what he does and adding it to what I can do. And now that's my bag. Like, that's all part of your bag. Like,
just expanded.
Your bag just got bigger. You just added something on top of that and mix it with your own sauce. Now it's something else. Like, now you can teach someone else. So I think, like, being willing to not only just learn from your coaches, but learn from your teammates is like a big thing. I would say, like, being open to your teammates is also a big thing. And I think, like, in our generation, I'm a push, like, and I want to be a big push of this, is like being emotional, honestly. Like, y'all be honest to your
don't turn yourself down.
Teammates. Like, don't turn yourself down. Be truthful about how you're feeling. Like, if you're having a bad day, like, let your friend or someone know. Like, we all have bad days, bro. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I lost some of my teammates and best friends not too long ago, which many people know, at the University of Virginia. Like, so I'm definitely going through a lot up here too. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, I'm straight and I'm kicking it and college has been great. Like, it's been struggle lately. Like, so don't be afraid to let people know, like, you're going through something and things are hard, but like, they'll be there to have your back. And in that, like, that's great. Like, having people around you, you want to have a group around you that you trust. Like, I have a small circle around me that I trust. It's a group of family, friends that are 15 to 20 people, but I know they're, like I said, willing to fall on that sword for me. And I know same wave right back to them, but they have your best interest. So making sure you have a group of friends and family that are set. Cause family can get sticky sometimes, especially when
a lot of times
get political with football and monetary values. Things start to change.
Especially money and business. Yeah. So you're not kidding, bro. That was very well said, man. Thank you for joining us. I know you're on a short break here, so thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's our pleasure. So, guys, if you found anything entertaining or useful, the only way we can grow is if you share the podcast. So please share, subscribe, and thanks for watching, man. Thanks for having me.